Ready.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about alternative transportation. Okay, so imagine yourself 7 years from now. Okay, it's going to be the year's going to be 2020, new decade. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be with new technology. People are going to be wearing Google Glass. Everyone's going to be talking to their phones instead of people instead. Our phones might just be like a piece of glass, just like that's it, just like a piece of glass. We're gonna have a new president, might be a woman, so there's a lot of exciting things that are to look forward to in the future. So one thing that when I think of the future that I'm not really looking forward to is the price of gas. When I researched the price of gas 7 years ago, the average was around $2. What's the average right now? If you go to the gas station, it's like about $4, right? Mm-hmm. So just imagine 7 years from now, what do you guys think the price of gas is going to be per gallon?
$10.
Exactly. I'm not really looking forward to it, and I'm sure you guys are either. So I'm going to talk to you guys about some alternative transportation and some different ways that you could take instead of driving your car everywhere, because cars do get pretty costly. Other than gas, you have to pay for insurance, which all is pretty expensive if you pay for yourself. You also have to pay for the registration of it, which is also pretty expensive. So, for me, I have a little crappy Chevy S10, so it tends to break down quite a bit. So I have to, put money in, put new tires. My catalytic converter broke down, so there's always, car repairs I have to do. So, the first method of alternative transportation that I'm going to talk about is the train. Here in Southern California, there isn't really that great of a train system, but we do have a train that you can use as you go travel a bit further away. Like for me, for an example, a few weeks ago I traveled up to San Luis Obispo and I took the Pacific Surfliner, just up all of the West Coast, and some benefits of taking the train is it's really relaxing. You don't have to worry about having road rage and different drivers on the road, and all the traffic. You just sit back, relax, and enjoy it. You could take a nap. You could be on your phone texting someone, playing a game. Maybe you guys like read a book. You could just read a book. And there's also on the trains that they have a little bar area where you could go and actually buy beer. So if you're over 21, you could drink and just relax and have a few beers and get to your destination before you know it. So it does take a bit longer than a car, but it's really relaxing. You don't even the time just flies by. So that's one way that you could travel. I found an article from the USA Today and said to travel from Los Angeles to San Francisco on just a small car, the average cost for gas is about $115. And when you go on Amtrak.com and you look up for tickets for to go to LA to San Francisco, that costs about $60. So there is also savings that you can make if you plan your trip pretty wisely. So traveling on train could be cheaper. If you travel on train as well, there's a lot of perks that you could that come with it. One example would be if you go to the train to the Dodgers game, and you guys might not be Dodger fans, but if you're at the Allen Union Station, there's a free shuttle that takes you to the game for free. So you don't have to worry about parking. Like our professor mentioned a few weeks ago, parking is pretty expensive. So that's another way that you save money. Another way you can get out of paying for parking is riding your bike everywhere. Here, there's our roads are made for having bike lanes that you can go and use, and there's a bunch of trails that you could find that I didn't know before, but I found out. How many of you guys know about the Fullerton Loop? There's the loop is there's just a bunch of trails all over Fullerton, and you could take those to go anywhere. Like for me, for example, I live in La Habra, and there's some trail that I could just take on my bike from my house and pretty much takes me here to school. And I don't have to even use much of the streets and just go on the trails. So that's another example of an alternative that you can use. You save money on gas. It's good for you. You're healthy. You get skinnier by using your bike, and so that's good. Who doesn't want to get skinnier? If you do get tired of riding your bike, you could always just take your bike and strap it down to a bus and just take the bus. So that's another alternative way of transportation, bus. Here in Southern California, I think that would be the best alternative option of traveling around would be the bus, since we do have our grid is made for cars. So, in the recent years, the city and states have cut back on the bus routes and also the bus routes and the amount of buses that come by. So, it had to probably be done for the just the budget cuts and the recession that we had. But now that we're bouncing back, we should tell our city and state to bring back those routes and bring more buses so that it's a more reliable way of transportation for people. Then that could save a lot of money too using that instead. So, in conclusion, there's different ways of alternative traveling that you could take other than car. I just mentioned a few. You could also take more. You could get a Segway and just drive a Segway everywhere. There's different ways that you could do it. You just have to find those ways and do it. So, as much as we would like to, we're still going to rely on our cars. Cars are getting better nowadays. There's cars that have better that get better miles per gallon. There's hybrids, and then there's even like the Tesla. You never know, we might be all driving Teslas in like 10 years. So, cars are getting better. You could always just carpool as well. So, those are just the alternatives I mentioned are just some options that we should take, and they're there for us. So, in the future, I hope that there's more people that use alternatives. Until they invent jetpacks that run out of like trash or something. We're also going to be using cars, but we should take advantage of our transportation.
You persuaded me to take the train now. Good job.
What? And also beer?
Yeah. I get drunk. Beer. Don't even have to worry about it. Drunk and drunk. Is that it?
We had people missing. That's what was going on. Fernando was supposed to do the oral evaluation. He walked in right after the speech was done, so that makes it a little bit tough. I'll tell you what, though. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if we have ways to switch things around. Maybe what we could do is, Megan, maybe you could do Jesus' speech right now, and Fernando, we can have you do David's speech in just a minute. How's that? Would that be okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Why don't you tell us what you thought, Megan?
I like the speech. I thought you were just a little bit nervous, but I think you made a couple jokes which kind of helped you. And then I think it was an interesting speech and relatable because all of us, or not all of us, maybe some of us drive cars, and we know how expensive it is and we don't make a lot of money. So I think it's good to know about alternative transportation. I think that maybe, I don't know, I didn't hear like a lot of like research. It was mostly just based off of like Amtrak fees and stuff like that, which was helpful, but it might have been good to maybe get like some other statistics or something like that. But overall, I thought it was a good thing.
Okay. Just to start off with, you stand up and you give us the topic, and it's like you're announcing I'm giving a speech, and we've talked about that. Don't do that. Don't do that, because you have a really good visualization to start with, and once you get started, thinking about gas prices over the last few years, think about the future, we could have this, that, and the other thing, you got everybody going on that. That's your attention device. That's what you should have started with, and you have this thing that you stick in front of it that just kind of undermines it. You know. And you knew that. You knew that. Well, so there you go. It's one of those things that we're just trying to remind you about. It's going to be more interesting the other way. You don't really have a preview in the presentation, and as I'm listening to it, it's being organized around the different types of transportation, but they aren't necessarily very equitable in the amount of time that gets development. You spend some time talking about the train. The bike thing gets a little bit of discussion, and then everything after that, the bus system, they kinds of rush by. You even throw in the Segway at one point, and there's not really much development on any of those points, and I thought that that was a little bit problematic. The train thing, I think you did an okay job on, but there's a lot more that you could do with it. By the way, you can't get a beer on the Metro Link, so I don't think that, if you're going to San Francisco, then you can probably, there's a bar there. But if you're taking the train just, between Fullerton and downtown Los Angeles, for instance, I'm sorry, the bar is not open. Excuse me. You had a little bit of information on that train stuff when you were talking about cost comparisons. It seemed a little high to me, the estimate about what the car prices would be. But you're trying to make it possible, and you try to create a positive visualization about riding the train. So I thought that was okay. You had some factual data about getting shuttles from different places, like the Dodger Stadium, for instance. That was okay. Like I said, the other points just feel like they are a little bit underdeveloped. There's not really much information on those points, and they needed a little bit more concentration. They're tossed in to give some variety, but they don't make a very strong argument, and even the visualizations on them is not particularly strong. Delivery issues, you probably know a couple of things that we've talked about before. You have a tendency to, speak down, and your voice is going down, and you're swallowing your words a little bit. I don't want to sound like some elocution coach, but you need to point your chin up in the air a little bit and get the words out while you're speaking so it's a little bit clearer. It's not that we can't hear you, but it's just, it takes away some of your energy, and it's not always as clear as it could be if you had your head up a little bit more. The big pieces of paper flapping around in the wind there, that's always enthusiasm, that's going on there. Okay, thank you. We'll leave it at that.